At 105.3 FM.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it is Friday, April 7th, and we are in a Masters weekend. And if you guys are listening in and you're big golfers, it's an exciting time. It's hard to believe that it's here already. We've been enjoying some incredible weather here. We've got baseball season that started. I made it to 2 Arizona Diamondback games this week. Took a 3-1 lead on the San Francisco Giants, which is something to be very proud of. And now we get to start a series with the Cleveland Indians, the team that was in the World Series that lost to the Chicago Cubs. So you didn't tune in to listen to sports talk. This is Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time, Health Futures is a show that we've created here where it's about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And the tagline, Taking Stock in You, is for those that are listening in, whether you are an older adult or you're an adult child, to really understand what those things are that you can do to take care of yourself. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and my family owns a home care agency. This month we start our 24th year. And what we do is we deliver care into the home, and we enable so many of our older adult population that lives here in Maricopa County to be able to stay in place, age in place. We know that 92% of our older adult population, 65 and older, want to age in place. And some cannot, and they can't even do it when they do get care, but many can with a little bit of assistance. And we do that by supplying caregivers. We have over 200 caregivers that work for Cypress HomeCare Solutions, and I liken them to being more surrogate sons or daughters, just that extra pair of hands. We're not clinicians, but we are people there to assist, and that's the optimum word. We assist our clients with bathing. We assist our clients with going to the bathroom. We assist our clients with reminding them about medications, eating their meals, taking them for their doctor's appointments. So those are the things that we do at Cypress, and we do this all by caregivers. And caregivers are truly our only asset. And if you are listening into this show today and you're one of those caring spirits, you're one of those people that have plenty more in your cup to give and you want to help a fellow neighbor, a friend out, we're looking for very talented people. If you're listening in and you know of somebody, please have them call us at Cypress. What makes our company work is having really good, caring, compassionate people, and have them call at 602-264-8009 or go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com, and you can learn more about becoming a caregiver there. So I want to get our show started, and our show is possible because we bring extraordinary guests. And if you listened in last week, we had Dr. Dan Moline on. He's a GI doc, and for many of those that may not know, last month was Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And what we learned on this show was that this is one of the most preventable cancers there are out there. And as Dr. Moline said, I'm in the cancer prevention business. And the way to do that is to get screened. And I hope you guys got that message. If you didn't, just that little soundbite. If you haven't gotten screened and you're 50 years or older, make an appointment to go see a GI doc to get a colonoscopy. So today I have on the show, I've got a concierge physician. We're going to learn a little bit more about concierge medicine. And his name is Dr. Jeff Baird. And Dr. Baird, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Is it good? Is it okay if I call you Jeff?
Absolutely, please.
All right. So I pretty much sucked all the oxygen out of the room for our first segment. So I want to just be able to give you enough time to really share with our listening audience. You've been a practicing physician for how long?
Since 1991 here in Scottsdale.
Here in Scottsdale. And you were in concierge medicine, and when did you start?
2014.
2014.
So about almost 3 years ago now.
Okay. And explain to our listening audience, and we'll get into in the second segment why you pivoted and got into this business. But explain to us a little bit about what is concierge medicine.
So concierge medicine's a little bit different style of practice than what I think most people have been used to over the last many years. You know, a traditional office setting has a physician in it, a nurse, some front office people, and has a pretty large volume of patients that in order to make ends meet and deal with the demands of the insurance companies, et cetera, well, they may see upwards of 3,000 or 4,000 patients in a patient panel. And that leads to a lot of volume, and that's necessary and what has to happen on the business side. But it's not maybe quite as easy then to get to know your patients and have a more one-on-one relationship with them. Concierge medicine has come up as sort of a response to that. Maybe you might even say a little more old-fashioned way of practicing, where the panel is smaller and the relationship is much more between the patient and the physician, not with an intermediary like an insurance company. And therefore allows more time and more ways of practicing and actually caring for people that is customizable to what they want and what they need.
So basically it's customer service.
Yeah, a little more. Yeah, you can provide more customer service. I kind of think of it. I'm 55 now, and I remember watching Marcus Welby when I was a kid, and on TV, and I feel it's a little more like Marcus Welby medicine than how things have kind of morphed into today.
And what's interesting, and we'll unpack it more in the second segment. I know that family docs today, traditional family docs, can only give patients, if they're lucky, up to 10 minutes of their time in the exam room. 10 or
15 minute time, and that's it.
Exactly.
And running behind, and people are in the office because obviously as a family doctor, you're taking care of a wide variety of different kinds of patient problems. So you don't really know what's coming in through the door today. And it's very easy for something that sounds like it might be a simple visit to become much more complex. Well, that then gets the whole office running behind. And everybody else is going to pay that price, if you will, for that complexity that's happened during that doctor's day. They're not trying to run behind.
Right.
It just is the nature of it. And in a smaller practice, though, where everybody has enough time, that those kind of issues don't really come up.
I've actually been in doctors' practices where on the back of the door in the exam room says, we only handle 3 questions at a time. So if you have more than 3, you're going to need to make another appointment.
And I've been to one myself that said, if you've been sitting in the waiting room longer than 30 minutes, please let us know. Well, I'm kind of thinking they should have known that ahead of time. If I've been there that long already, I've kind of been growing roots. So
exactly,
we try to move people in and out in a timely way and make that so that their time is valuable too. Just not just mine.
Well, it's interesting, and I said customer service because we have gotten to a point in our society, whether it's medicine or whether it's restaurants or whatever the product or service that you're getting, we've grown accustomed to getting exceptional service. And there's so many people out there that are competing for those dollars. So when you don't get that customer service, you have to demand it, or you'll go somewhere else.
Absolutely right. I think people certainly will argue with their dollars, and go to the place that fits them the best. And they don't usually call back and tell you, "Gee, I didn't like what I saw here," and they just leave, and you don't even know that they left.
Right. And one of the things I've learned, running my home care business, and the same with you running your practice, when somebody calls you to either complain or express a compliment, that there's typically 10, maybe as many as 100 people behind them that are thinking the same thing.
Sure.
So, whether I'm getting critiqued or complimented, I so appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. You got to take both of those things very seriously and analyze, where that's coming from. Absolutely.
Right. And as business owners, we appreciate that. We need that feedback.
No doubt.
Because sometimes, we just don't see it.
Oh, absolutely, and we're not always involved with every single element of our business. I mean, I'm not there for every single patient phone call with a front office person.
Right.
And if somebody's having a bad day or not doing a good job, I wouldn't know unless somebody told me. So it's very good to have that positive feedback.
Oh, it is very positive. Real quickly, as we break our first segment, where's your offices?
I am at the southeast corner of Frank Lloyd Wright and Shea in North Scottsdale.
Wow. Okay.
So not too far.
No, not too far. Easy to get to.
Yeah, 3 miles off the 101. So not too terribly far.
It's not 2.5. It's 3.
It's about 3. Pretty close to 3.
There you go. Well, our engineer James is taking us out with a little Coldplay. So thank you, James. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You, and I am pleased to have on our show today Dr. Jeffrey Baird. He's a concierge medical physician. He's got a company called Utopia Primary Care. And as we get ready to break, if you wanted to call his office at 480-355-0600. We're done one segment. We got a second one to come. Stay around. We'll be right back.
Hey, Money Radio listeners, this is Gary Kaltbaum. Make sure you tune in for my show, Investor's Edge. You'll get my take on the markets and the world and what to look out for tomorrow. Investor's Edge is one of Money Radio's longest-running shows, so don't miss it.
You can listen to Investor's Edge Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
The 5th Annual Flavors of the West, presented by Fry's Food and Drug Stores. Saturday, April 8th, noon to 4 p.m. at Litchfield Park. For tickets, go to www.flavorsaz.com. More than 30 restaurants are expected to pack the block of Old Litchfield Road, serving delicious samples featuring everything from seafood to Asian cuisine. This diverse foodie event features a beer garden, cooking demonstrations from acclaimed Arizona chefs, and live music. Get your tickets at www.flavorsaz.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In a community of Alliance's entrepreneurs, opportunity never takes a break. Alliance's Heroes unmask the secrets of heroes in business every Thursday morning. David Kogan of Alliance's interviews heroes in business, revealing the superpowers of inventors, investors, politicians, Inc. 500 companies, startups, and celebrities. Amazing heroes in business revealed on Alliance's Heroes, Thursday mornings at 9 on Money Radio.
D-backs opening weekend versus the American League champion Cleveland Indians is this weekend at Chase Field. On Saturday, get a Jake Lamb bobblehead. Visit dbacks.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And great tune, James. Thank you for bringing that one in. If you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got Dr. Jeff Baird here in the studio with me. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. If you missed our first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the radio button, and you can catch up on what we're doing. Fantastic stuff here at Health Futures as well as Cypress Home Care Solutions. So, Dr. Baird, Jeff, we were talking about concierge medicine.
Yes.
And you were explaining to us in the first segment what it is. Mm-hmm. So you're a practicing physician, if my memory serves me is correct, since 1991.
Correct.
You pivoted and got into this business in 2014.
Correct.
Talk to us. Tell us why you got into this business.
Yeah, so in 1991, I joined an existing practice right out of residency. I'm actually from here originally, so I'm a local. and practiced at that location in the South Scottsdale area for around 15 years and was in a larger group. Decided to kind of do my own thing a little bit more. And in 2007, I moved up into North Scottsdale at the same time as my wife, who's a pediatrician, Dr. Tracy Drummond. And we worked together for several years. At some point in there, I got to the point that all the different things that I was able to do for people when I first started in practice, because I had the time to do it and a lower patient volume, was getting harder and harder and harder to actually do. It was harder to make rounds at the hospital. It was harder to be involved with coordinating the care of more complicated patients. And at some point around 2014, I finally decided, maybe a different style of practice would be better for me. And I elicited the help of, my own patients and asked them what they thought about it, and got a fairly positive response back, and transitioned to a smaller concierge practice in the middle of 2014.
Wow. And I just went up to your website, and for our listening audience, go to utopiaprimarycare.com, and that's UTOPIA, primarycare.com. It's robust with a lot of information. Talks a lot about you, of course, but let's face it. I mean, if you're gonna engage with a doctor, you want to learn more about the doctor and what they do.
Like to know more about me. Not only just my my medical background, but as a person as well. We have our own personalities and lives and interests, and sometimes those things are good. You were talking a little bit earlier about having played the Giants. I'm actually one of the team physicians for the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, very cool.
So I always have mixed emotions when I go to the Diamondback games. I'm a local and root for the Diamondbacks a little bit, but I also have to be a little careful. And I don't want to offend any of my friends with the Giants either. So
I got to tell you though, I mean, we are so spoiled here.
Oh, no doubt.
The fact that we have spring training here, and they're here for the entire month of March. Actually, at the end of February too. So, it's priceless. And I can remember when I first started coming here almost 30 years ago, we'd go to the Scottsdale Stadium to see the Giants. And now, living in Scottsdale, we have options with Salt River Fields.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful facility.
It really is. It's a beautiful facility. And, we just hosted the NCAA championship, although it wasn't a great game. But needless to say, hopefully it did really well for our economy.
For the community. Absolutely.
And for the community. And really talking about medicine, and medicine has really changed. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is, especially when it comes to healthcare, just wait a minute and it's going to change. You and I talked at the beginning of the show, talked about physician practices. Mm-hmm. And I can remember in the 1990s where the hospitals were buying them all up.
Sure, absolutely.
And then in the early 2000s, they divested themselves of them. And then here, after the Affordable Care Act, they started buying them up again.
Yep.
And as many people know, Banner just got rid of them all. So it's crazy what's happening with healthcare.
Absolutely, and the problem, of course, with that is that then your own primary care doctor may or may not still be with your insurance company,
exactly,
or be with your plan, or be with your employer, and I see too many times people have to bounce from specialist to specialist, from primary care doctor to primary care doctor, just because of the needs and requirements of what their insurance allows or doesn't allow, and it's that continuity, I think, that really makes the difference, in your health in the long run. Having a person to quarterback your care and to really who knows you as an individual, I think is critical. It's
critical, and I think one of the things that Dr. Moline brought up in our show last week, especially when it comes to screening, he said that's something that everybody should have done. Mm-hmm. And if price is a challenge, come to my office. Let's talk about it. I mean, we'll work on a payment plan. We'll work something out, but you should be getting health care.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think, really as consumers, healthcare has really become more consumer oriented. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, Jeff. Mm-hmm. The internet, it's a great thing.
It is.
But it's also
it's
really
also dangerous thing.
Yeah. So if you get a diagnosis, a lot of times physicians say, don't go to the internet, because you're going to read just as many things that bad about it as are good about it.
Yeah,
but
I try to help people actually through that a little bit and try to give them some sources to go to that I think will be reliable. through, let's say, the American Academy of Family Practice, or through Mayo Clinic, or through, Merck, has some nice websites that are general medicine websites, things where you can learn some information that has been screened and has some expert opinion, that helps it be more accurate. Because you're right, kind of like what you were saying before about people giving feedback. Well, if you go to blogs and individual people's websites, they may have a story to tell that may or may not be reflective of what everybody experiences, and yet it makes it sound like, boy, this is a terrible treatment or a terrible medicine, or and there's more than one side to that story, and that's where I think you kind of come back to your primary doctor and say, look, what's the real story here?
Right. 26 years in practicing medicine. I mean, beside the landscape of the government and the Affordable Care Act and the Obamacare Light or 2.0, who knows what we're going to get.
Agreed.
But, what are you seeing really? And I want to have this discussion with you. What are you seeing now, especially in like these last 10 years, that you didn't really see in the first 15, 16 years of your practice?
Well, I think that, the demands of what the insurance companies require in terms of documentation and in terms of how difficult it is to do billing and get billing done. And, with the Affordable Care Act, there was a lot of requirements regarding electronic medical records and computer systems, and all these things got incredibly expensive and increased the overhead and increased the workload on the back end to the physician. So, what I think most people don't realize, because they only see a part of the practice, is they see the part of the time where they're seeing their doctor, and they hopefully enjoy that interaction. But there's a whole other part to it in terms of documenting and receiving prescription refill requests and consultation reports and all the other things that have to be reviewed, so that for every one patient visit, there's another whole layer of work that has to be done by either the physician or the staff, and it takes a great deal of time, and it's gotten more complex. And it got to the point for me that I was spending more hours away from the office doing work than just seeing patients, and that seemed to be a ratio that made no sense to me. I'd like to spend more time seeing patients and less time doing paperwork.
Right.
And I saw the only solution to that to change my practice style.
And I get that. And I get that, the uncontrollables, obviously, as it relates to the insurance companies, and so much of it is, I mean, we can sit here and talk till we're blue in the face. So much of it is, the challenge that you have with lawsuits.
Sure.
There has to be tort reform. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. And some states have been more aggressive with it than others, that's for sure. I mean, Texas has had a very aggressive, reform system, and they've actually improved the number of physicians that actually want to practice there. It's actually brought better care to their state. And there are other states. Florida's been a good example where it's hard to practice in certain fields, OB, for example, because the lawsuits are rampant and the awards are so great, and it exceeds even the insurance payment.
Right.
Very difficult.
And it could cripple a physician.
Absolutely. Very risky to practice there. And, and especially in fields where complications do occur. I mean, we, as much as we'd like to say they don't, or we'd like to minimize them, they do. And there are risks, and you can but the physician can only take so much risk.
Exactly. And when you sit down and you talk about the malpractice, the professional liability insurance that you have to take, and we take it out too in our space.
Yeah.
Some of the specialties, I mean, you have to actually work 3-4 months of the year.
Oh, absolutely. I can't imagine being a neurosurgeon.
Right.
Or
before you start making money, because
Absolutely.
the first 3 or 4 or 5 months is just to pay for the insurance.
For that. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we're up against a break, Jeff. It's halftime here at Health Futures. We got a whole second half.
Good.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Neil Gorsuch has been confirmed by the Senate today to the Supreme Court. Correspondent Salona Sarfati.
This is certainly a significant win for President Trump, one of his first victories here. He was, of course, widely praised for the rollout of the Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch, and now he is getting his nominee firmly in place in this court.
The U.S. is looking into whether Russia took part in the Syrian chemical attack. Correspondent Barbara Starr.
While there is no evidence at this point, they will investigate any evidence brought before them that the Russians might have known what was going on, that there might be Russian complicity at this point.
Swedish authorities have arrested a suspect after a truck driver crashed into a Stockholm department store today, killing 4 people. Sweden is calling it an act of terrorism. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gaining 11 points. The S&P 500 up a fraction. The Nasdaq up 3. I'm Ann Cates.
This is Charles Osgood. Here is a great way to buy business travel. Upside.com. At Upside, you'll save money on travel and get a free Amazon gift card worth $100, $200, even $300 every time. Save money and get a big gift card for free. Here's how they do it. Upside bundles your flight and your hotel together for one low price. Bundling saves a ton of money, especially on business travel. So they give you an Amazon gift card. Your company saves money, and you still keep all the miles. Right now, the first time you go to Upside.com and use my last name, Osgood, you are guaranteed a free Amazon gift card worth $200. Just use my last name, Osgood, O-S-G-O-O-D, and you'll get a guaranteed Amazon gift card worth $200. Upside. Save big on travel and get a big gift card every time. Just visit Upside.com. That's Upside.com. Minimum purchase applies. See site for details.
You're listening to Money Radio, still at 1510 AM, but our FM has moved to 105.3 FM. Check it out.
Every morning at 8 a.m., get timely market updates, breaking news on market movers, and strong analysis on financial topics to help you plan, invest, insure, retire, and stay retired. Don't miss Mastering Money. Every morning at 8 a.m. and now at a new time, 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Hear best-selling author and wealth manager Steve Jurich, along with his great lineup of financial experts, CPAs, and attorneys. Mastering Money now at 8 and 6 right here on Money Radio, AM 1510 and 105.3 FM. See you there.
Napa know-how. The Napa Bucket is on sale for $2.99. It's engineered from high-quality plastic, and it comes with a metal handle to make it portable. You're probably thinking, that sounds like any old bucket, but it's not, because regular buckets don't get you 20% off almost anything you put in it. So pick up a Napa Bucket today and get 20% off the parts you need. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Minimum 3 items. Some exclusions apply. Offer good while supplies last.
Are you a business owner? Are you maximizing the internet and social media to grow your business? Then you need to check out Money Radio's premier technology show, Fast Turtle's Digital Pros with Eric Olson and Graham Ware. These two digital wizards will educate and give you the latest information on all things digital, social media, SEO, PPC, and digital engagement. This is the future. Don't miss out. Tune in every Wednesday at 9 for Fast Turtle Digital Pros right here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Hi, this is Ken from Online Trading Academy Phoenix. For a fresh take on the news and your money, check out The Right Side of the Trade, noon Thursdays and Saturdays on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. To understand how the markets really work, come to a free Online Trading Academy half-day class. When you come out, you'll also get a tablet with access to additional online courses at no charge. For free tickets, call 8448-INCOME. That's 844-846-2663 now.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
I'm Bruce Bale with Your Money Now. There's another major auto recall. Hyundai and Kia are recalling nearly 1.2 million cars and SUVs because the engines can fail and stall, increasing the risk of a crash. The recall covers the South Korean automaker's most popular models, including 2013 and 14 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport SUVs and Sonata midsize cars. Debris left from manufacturing can restrict oil flow to connecting rod bearings, which can increase temperatures and cause the bearings to fail. Global demand for air travel rose nearly 5% in February thanks to lower fares and improving economies, with no major impact from an attempted U.S. travel ban. Middle Eastern carriers, among the most affected by the attempted restrictions, saw demand rise more than 9%. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is ahead 21 points, while the Nasdaq Composite is up 6 points. That's Your Money Now.
An economic boom is coming. Don't let your business get left behind. If you need to build, call General Steel today. Steel prices are expected to rise, but you can still lock in your price on a General Steel building. You can still get an 80-foot by 150-foot building for under $99,000. That's right, 12,000 square feet for under $99,000. Don't let rising steel prices put your project out of reach. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-957-8335.
Hi, Auntie Christine. Thanks for the Easter basket you sent me. It has all my favorite candies and a stuffed bunny rabbit.
Surprise the little ones in your life with personalized plush Easter baskets from Personal Creations. Each plush animal Easter basket comes filled with free candy and a free stuffed bunny, all for $19.99. Plus, you can have it personalized with any name for free. To get this special Easter deal, go to personalcreations.com. Click the orange star in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 0200. That's personalcreations.com, secret code 0200.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're on our third segment. And if you're just tuning in, I got Dr. Jeff Baird here in the studio. He's a concierge doc with a company called Utopia Primary Care. And we've been talking about what concierge medicine is and what it's definitely not and what's going on with healthcare, especially, Jeff was talking to us about the requirements that all these insurance companies and others are just laying on them relative to, just being in compliance and being able to provide services under their agreement with the health plan. If you missed the first two segments, go up to our website at cypresshomecare.com and you'll catch those two. And you're listening now for the third, and stay tuned for the next, let's call it 23 minutes. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. So we talked about what's going on in the healthcare world as it relates to health plans. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you, and I asked you, I said, talking about the last 10 or 15 years, I've been running my family's company now for 14 years. Mm-hmm. And when I started 14 years ago, there was something called comorbidities. And, for our listening audience, a morbidity is a disease, right? It's something that, a patient has and basically has really for the rest of their life. It could be congestive heart failure, it could be COPD, could be arthritis, could be diabetes.
Heart disease, whatever it might be.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, comorbidities was like the big thing. Today, Jeff, we see so many sick people. I mean, complex morbidities. It is amazing what's going on out there.
Oh, no doubt. The population is aging, and they're aging, I think, a lot better than prior generations. But now there's a lot of them, and you're going to get to a point where you still do have problems related to aging. It's just part of how life goes. And that is more complicated. And so somebody, hopefully your primary doctor, can help to quarterback and coordinate all the different parts, because I think the dangerous part of having all those comorbidities is that you get pieced out. If you go to the hospital, you're seeing a group of physicians. If you go to, a pulmonologist, a cardiologist, all the different specialties, each one kind of doing their part. But unless somebody's overseeing the whole picture, you can start having interactions between medications, and one person's doing something and the other one doesn't know they did it, and just the coordination of that is a much bigger challenge than it used to be. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it really is a much bigger challenge. And you stated a fact that it's true. I mean, we are aging at such a rapid rate. I've shared here with our listening audience, I'm not sure if you know Ken Dykewald. Mm-mm. Dr. Ken Dykewald wrote a book back in 1986 called The Age Wave, and basically predicted what we're dealing with right now as it relates to aging of our society. And he wrote a piece last June that really resonated with me, and I've shared with our listening audience, and I'm going to share here with you and those that are listening now that haven't heard me state this fact before, and that is 2/3 of our world's population, and I'm talking about Earth, that has ever lived to the age of 65 or older is alive now. Is alive right now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's crazy.
It is. It is absolutely crazy, and we're nowhere near ready to deal with it. And I look at your practice, in medicine, and And I have one daughter that's a broadcast journalist. She's a political journalist, and I've got one that is going on to her master's degree in speech therapy, and another one going into nursing school at U of A. I mean, healthcare is, kind of like from the movie The Graduate, and Dustin Hoffman, when he was told that,
get into plastics.
Get into plastics.
Yeah.
For our listening audience, get into healthcare.
Oh, no doubt.
Because healthcare is a growing field. We're going to have much greater needs as our population ages. But we are not finding enough doctors that are graduating from medical school. We have more geriatricians that are retiring than are going into the field.
No doubt about it. Primary care interest amongst medical students has gone down for a long time. The number of people that want to do it and are dedicated to it is less. And I think it's largely because it's not the world's biggest paying specialty, and there's a lot of work to do, and it's complicated and it's stressful. It's also very enjoyable and rewarding.
Right.
But, the balance has to be there. And many people are choosing other fields where maybe they feel like that balance is better. And that's too bad.
And affordability.
Absolutely.
I mean, some of these docs that are graduating today are saddled with $250,000 to $500,000 worth of loans.
Oh, agreed.
And, I mean, that'll take them decades to pay those.
Oh, it's a mortgage.
It is.
Very literally.
So, I mean, we have to figure out how to get more people into the field, and then we also need to figure out how we can get more people into certain specialties like geriatrics.
Absolutely.
I mean, geriatric docs, I mean, I'm sure you probably read that book by Atul Gawande, Being Mortal. I mean, it's amazing how we just don't have enough of them. And
no doubt. Yeah,
and we have, such an aging population. It's interesting because I started talking about the comorbidities, and I wanted to really share, or wanted you to share with our listening audience some of the things that you might be seeing more of. Are we seeing more of we know heart disease is the number one killer out there. We know cancer is number 2.
I mean, huge increases in diabetes and hypertension and in high cholesterol, in arthritis and the disabilities and complications that come from all those things. And I think the most important part of all that is, just as Dr. Moline was talking about, let's do prevention with colonoscopy to help prevent colon cancer. There are things we can do and on the primary care side that are preventative. And let's work that direction. Let's have better control of those chronic conditions so that, our heart doesn't have as much stress and problems, and our kidneys don't have as much stress and problem, and hopefully live longer and better and with less of those comorbidities and complications that might otherwise arise if we weren't taking care of those things well.
And I think that's a message for everybody to receive. I mean, and that really starts with the grassroots, with their kids and what they're practicing. I mean, listen, I'll be the first one to say that, Michael Bloomberg, when he was mayor, I mean, he was trying to outlaw soda.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Outlawing soda is a pretty drastic thing. But if we educate people and help them understand that, eating a balanced diet is really important. And, ingesting, gallons of soda every day is going to be detrimental to you.
And let's do some exercise and be active and be physically active and mentally active and doing lots of different things. And I feel like, unfortunately, I think the younger generations that are coming up may not be as healthy. There's a lot of studies that suggest they'll be less healthy than older people are today. And we already have a lot of problems now. I can't imagine a new wave of even less healthy people that come up.
Well, and let's face it. I mean, part of it is we are not moving. And
No
the
doubt.
kids aren't moving. I mean, the kids are so fixated to their tubes. And their tubes now are these devices.
Oh, yeah, screens.
And they're
of some
they're
sort.
sitting on their keisters, and they're not really out there moving. I mean, when we went to school, there was such a thing called recess.
Oh, sure. And PE class that you had to go to and all that. Yeah.
And a lot of the high schools have eliminated those things. So what do we do to change that? I mean, obviously we educate.
Sure.
We as parents need to encourage our kids to participate.
Well, and that's probably the big one overall. I mean, we can't depend on the government to say, look, we're going to get your kids active and eat better.
Exactly.
It's got to be an individual family decision to say, look, we're going to do activities on the weekend that are more active and are more fun and don't necessarily involve watching TV or going to a movie. And I think that would be a huge step in the right direction.
It would be a huge step in the right direction. You know, I had a doc on one time talk about sitting, what we're both doing right now. So it's the new smoking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we need to be moving, and I have a stand-up desk in my office with a treadmill on it, and I've got one.
Great idea.
I've got one at home. I don't use it as much as I'd like to.
Sure.
I just had orthoscopic knee surgery,
Okay.
but I'm going to get back to doing it more often because we weren't meant to sit and be sedentary, and that leads to a lot of the morbidities that we were talking about.
No doubt, and you know. When I do teaching with residents and I go to the hospital, a lot of times one of the big challenges we have for a lot of the patients that are in the hospital is we got to get you up and moving. You know, yes, you've just had a procedure or a test or a medical condition, but we can't let you just sit around and get better. You got to get up and move to get better.
Right, and
it's huge.
I lost my mom nearly 15 years ago, and I will tell you, when she was in the hospital with her heart, I mean, they didn't get her moving like they do today.
Yeah, with that, and we've learned a lot about that in the last few years in particular.
Yeah, you have a procedure, they get you up the next day.
You have hip replacement, you're up that night.
Right.
You know, and we never would have done that 20 years ago, and yet we know it's way better for you.
Exactly. Well, we got a tune taking us out. We're down 3 segments, Jeff. We got one more to go.
All right.
Let's unpack a really good segment for our listening audience. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. I've got Dr. Jeff Baird here in the studio from Utopia Primary Care. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Johnny D.
And I'm Rick the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today.
And the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing.
And call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man vs. Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Napa know-how.
The Napa Bucket is on sale for $2.99. It's engineered from high-quality plastic, and it comes with a metal handle to make it portable. You're probably thinking, that sounds like any old bucket, but it's not, because regular buckets don't get you 20% off almost anything you put in it. So pick up a Napa Bucket today and get 20% off the parts you need. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores, minimum 3 items. Some exclusions apply. Offer good while supplies last.
What would happen if you didn't show up for work tomorrow, for the next couple of days, for a week, a couple of months, a year? How long until you'd lose everything you've worked for in a fraction of the time it took to earn it? If this fear keeps you up at night, it's time to learn the strategies we teach at Lifestyles Unlimited. Start with the workshop. Go to lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com and find your true financial peace, like so many of our members already have. That's lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're on our 4th segment here. And if you missed the first 3, you can catch them right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. And I have got Dr. Jeffrey Baird. He's from Utopia Primary Care. He's a concierge medicine doctor. If you need to reach him, you can reach him at 480-355-0600. You want to ask for Susie Owings. And if you want to learn more about his practice, you want to go to utopiaprimarycare.com. And I've learned a great deal here about you, Jeff, and your practice and your background. One of the things we talked about off the air is you're a native Arizonan.
Yeah.
You went to
one of the few in my age bracket, probably.
Yes, and you're a Sun Devil man.
I am. Went to ASU and went to medical school in Texas at University of Texas at San Antonio, and then came back here for residency and started practice right away in 1991.
And you've really been connected to the former Scottsdale Memorial, Scottsdale Healthcare, Honor Health System.
Absolutely, yeah. I have, for myself, I have privileges at all three hospitals, so of their three campuses, and I still see patients in the hospital, which is also part of what I do for in the concierge practice is try to stay involved at both sides of the equation. Because what I was finding I really didn't like was when patients got into the hospital, saw hospitalists, and all of a sudden, I was out of the loop.
Right.
And when they'd come back, things were changed and different, and new specialists were involved and all kinds of things. And for me, I have a little OCD, so I wanted a little more control than that and be more part of that equation. And really being in a concierge practice allowed me to stay more involved in that way.
No, fantastic. And as a patient, that's what we want too.
Sure. That's when people need you the most.
Right.
They don't really need me that much for a cough and cold. Yeah, okay, I'm helpful, I hope. But where they really need me is when something goes wrong and you end up in the hospital. And how do you get through that in a positive way as is humanly possible? And
you know what? You know your patient. Mm-hmm. You talk about a hospitalist. Now you got to tell your story.
Absolutely.
And granted, I know there's such a thing called EMRs, and for our listening audience in the medical field, everything's got an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
So EMRs are electronic medical records, and yes, the hospitalist could have that, but that hospitalist doesn't know you.
No.
And you know the patient.
Absolutely.
And that I really think is what sets concierge medicine apart from just ordinary.
Oh, absolutely.
Ordinary healthcare.
You know your doctor much better, and they know you much better, and and you have more time to spend with them. Each and every visit can be as long as really the patient requires, as opposed to set into a specific schedule matrix on an electronic medical record.
Exactly. And and full disclosure, Jeff is not my doctor, but he cares for a number of my family members, and I will tell you. I helped and assisted my family members in locating you, and you have incredible recommendations out there.
That.
You are very highly thought of, and I know my family members that do see you speak the world of you.
Well, appreciate that.
And really,
we try hard.
well, you do try hard, and one of the things that we said when we first started our first segment, it's about customer service.
Absolutely,
it really is. It's about providing good service, and
we want it to be a comfortable, positive environment to come. I had one new patient come in a few months ago, and he said an interesting thing to me. He said, when he was leaving after we had our first initial visit, that he'd never left an office smiling before. That it was always sort of he had to be there, and he didn't. It wasn't that pleasant, but this was different. Right. And I thought that was pretty insightful, actually, and I appreciated it.
Well, and the one question I have, and when we think of concierge medicine, we know that there's a fee that is paid for that. But one of the questions I have was, if I have health insurance and I come to you, and my health plan is HealthNet.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use it? How does that work? How does it fit inside my health insurance?
So in my individual practice, I don't accept any insurance plans at all. Medicare, commercial insurance doesn't make any difference. I opted out of all of them, and I have a set fee. It's $2,000 for a person, $1,500 for a second family member, $1,000 for each other additional family member, and that's an annual fee. But that includes everything I can do, basically, in terms of office visits in the office, hospital visits in the hospital. We include all immunizations in that because I very much believe in offering those preventative services and not have to worry about are they going to be paid for or not. I cover it. Any visits that we have, or anything we can do in the office setting. But there's also no co-pays, there's no co-insurance, there's no deductibles. You don't have to meet any of those things with me. The fee covers the whole thing.
Perfect.
And try to make it simple. So there's no paperwork. You don't have to file things. You don't have to do anything. Just show up, be seen, and go home. And we want to make that system should work smooth. And this is a lot easier for everybody, I think.
So we'll take HealthNet, for example, and we're just picking on me because that's the health plan I have.
Sure.
So, I got a couple questions. So I'll ask you the couple questions and you'll respond because then we're going to probably run out of time.
Sure.
So can I submit the bills Well, no, I would pay annually, so I wouldn't be able to submit it. So,
well, sometimes people do have out-of-network benefits.
That's what I was asking.
And we can kind of help coordinate that a little bit where, at the end of the year or at the end of a quarter, we can say, look, you were in for these kinds of visits, these times, and we can generate a bill that says, look, you were here during these times, and then if you can submit those to your insurance company, maybe there's some coverage. At least It might go to your deductible for other services, and we do that. We also stay up on all what the health plans require. We may not be part of them, but for example, if you need a blood test or a radiology test or a specialist referral, we still can figure out how to use your insurance for all those things.
And that was the next question was obviously, when it comes to labs and when it comes to, radiology stuff and when it comes to specialists, you can use your insurance. And
Absolutely.
I would also imagine, and again, you and I haven't talked about this, I would imagine that you have, just like I do, referring partners that
Absolutely.
that
people that we're comfortable with and use a lot.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
that they'll take care of your clients.
Absolutely. Well, and that's, I think, one of the advantages, honestly, is to have someone who's been in the community for 25 years.
Right.
I know the players and who we should be using and who maybe we shouldn't be using as much. And
so if I need a pulmonologist, cardiologist, rheumatologist, I mean, you have those referrals, and those guys probably take the insurance. And
almost always.
And if they don't, probably being affiliated with you.
We can find somebody who does.
Take the insurance or maybe even work on a better rate.
Absolutely, sure. Yeah, those things are absolutely possible. I think that we try to do as many things as we can that are customer service oriented, as we were talking about before. My nurse is a great phlebotomist. She draws people's blood. She'll draw them for other providers. If you come in to see us, you need a lab test for your cardiologist, you can come and see her and she'll do her thing. And again, it's quick, it's easy. You don't have to make an appointment with a lab and wait an hour and. Just trying to save time and make it easier because it doesn't have to be this complicated.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And we're finally wrapping up, and we've talked about a lot of different things, Jeff. And we keep coming back to customer service and providing exceptional service and being mindful of people's time and making that experience as good a one as you can make it.
Absolutely.
Any parting comments that you would like to share with our listening audience?
If anybody would like to learn a little bit more about it, I'm certainly more than happy to have an in-person or on-phone visit with somebody over, and there's no charge to that.
Right.
Just to, we call them a meet and greet and come in and learn.
Again, 480-355-0600 or utopiaprimarycare.com. And his offices are really central, 3 miles off the 101, right there at Frank Lloyd Wright and Shea. I got to tell you, it's been great having you on the show.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
I was really looking forward to this, and I've learned a great deal.
Good.
And I'm optimistic where healthcare and medicine's going.
I hope so. Me too.
Well, make it a great day. Have a great Friday. And thank you for joining us at Health Futures.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
Hey, Corey Schuyler here from Core Fitness. Guess what's right around the corner? That's right, swimsuit season. And you know what that means. It's time to start shedding that winter weight. But no worries, though, because I'm here for you. I've developed a new program called the Core Fitness Project, and right now I'm beta testing it. It's completely free, and I want you to try it. Go to www.corefitnessaz.com, and I will show you exactly how to get a strong, sexy core. That's www.corefitnessaz.com, and we'll get started today.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K287BX Mesa. Ever hear the expression, that guy's money? That means good, cool, fun. Like Money Radio. Share the goodness. Take a look at your numbers right now. Dow's down 6 points at 20,656. S&P down 2 points at 2355. And NASDAQ down 1 point at 5878.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.